Big up, people. Big up, chat room. We're back. I'm just about back. My voice is just about back. Big up, Dan Lawless, by the way, for stepping in for me on Monday night as a host. You know what, Tobes? I didn't think he did a bad job, I didn't think he did at all. But listen, let's not go there. Tobes, big up yourself, man. Thanks for coming on and talking Spurs and transfers on the show. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. Apologies, man. I know you can probably see me clearly, but I'm catching every other word sometimes. So I'm trying to. So bear with me. If I'm like maybe like a second or two behind, please bear with me. Innit? My
Nice,
internet's
calm,
really
man. I
buggy.
know what it's like. I've had bad Wi-Fi myself. I don't know what it is at the moment, but there's some problems. But
Yeah.
mate, good to have you back on the channel. Always a pleasure talking to you. I want to get your opinions on the transfer window. I'm trying to do this with a few people. Obviously, I wanted to bring you on first. Talking Tottenham, they seem to be the talk of the town at the moment.
Mhm.
There's a little bit of confusion and uncertainty when it comes to Levy, Enoch, Conte, Kane, players that aren't performing like Son. And I wanted to get your kind of overall thoughts of how things are as a Tottenham fan at the moment, Tobe. So the mic is yours, bro.
Yeah, man. Things aren't good. I'll be real. It's not like overly disastrous because we can still get top four mathematically. We're not far behind the people in the third, currently sat in third and fourth, still in the Champions League, still in the FA Cup. We still have some good players. We do. Um, so, like on paper, it's not a disastrous season as of yet, but with our eyes, what we're watching week in week out, it's been a really poor season. We've taken so many steps backwards. The football has got progressively worse. The results have followed. The results have been all over the shop. Player form has been up and down. We've had some key injuries, of course, as do most teams, and most importantly as well, we've got our manager who I was banking on, Conte. I think he's been really bad at his job for the most part this season. I really have. I've given him time. I've given him grace. I've tried to stand by the whole, oh, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. But you just have to call a spade a spade with what he's been given, which um, isn't exactly the best squad, but it's not a terrible squad by any means. He's not done as well as he could. I think he's been quite poor. So yeah, it's not been a good season for us, I'll be real, so far. And we're now in January, obviously the 24th of January. We've obviously signed our first player today, but I would have hoped we would have got at least two in by now. But this is just the way the club operate, and annoyingly, we have to take it.
Yeah, man. Listen, I'm going to bring Pad's comment up. Says, Toby, what would you give the rating if you only do get Porro and Danjuma? Danjuma looks to be done. Porro, I'm not going to lie, Toby, I don't know much about this guy, but what's your thoughts of these two and what rating would you give your window?
My thoughts on Porro is the same as yours. I don't really know much about him, but from the research I've done, he seems to be quite good with the ball at his feet. Like he can, from the little clips I've seen in his undersurface and underlying metrics, he seems like someone who is proficient in the final third. Like he's a really good crosser from what I've seen. He can beat a couple players. He's not afraid to take shots off at goal. He's not afraid to take his man on, and we need someone who's that proficient offensively because in this system we play with the wing backs, we need people who we need wing backs who basically play like wingers, right? Um, I don't know much about his defending. I really don't. I've not really seen what he can do defensively. And when I looked at his defensive metrics, they didn't look great. They didn't look great. So that tells me that he's way more focused in the final third than he is in his own half, right? But it'll be interesting to see how he fares. Quite frankly, I've been pissed off all January because I kept seeing his name over and over and over again with people regurgitating the same stories, and it was just pissing me off. And I just got into a mood just after the end of the summer window and how disappointing the end of that window was. I I've just banned reports. Like I don't want to hear about no stupid report unless the deal was basically on the verge of being completed. And now it actually looks like Porro's on the verge of being completed. So um, I just hope he's the right fit. I really do. I hope he's someone who can play right wing back. I hope he's someone who can do a job at right back as well. I hope he's someone who just alleviates the need to look at the right back position beyond this season, because I'm sick of it. I hope he's
Mm.
good. I don't know much, as I said, I don't really know him in depth. So I'm praying and hoping that he bangs, because I can't do this shit anymore. I can't have another dud right back on our hands. I just can't.
You need him to bang, man. You really do. You need all your signings to bang. That. Let's quickly, before we go into the actual current squad, about what you'd like to see happening with those. What would you like to see added? You've talking about the importance of wing backs under Conte, and you've spoken before numerous of times to me about weeks and weeks of poor defending at centre back. But is there more to it than that with Spurs, or would you be happy for a couple of those positions just to be filled?
I want more positions to be filled, man. If someone asked the question on what would I rate the window as it stands now, if you told me Spurs signed Danjuma and Pedro Porro as the window, I'm not giving that anything more than a 5 out of 10. I'm really not. I feel like Danjuma, although he is a good player, I don't feel like we needed Danjuma. I feel like he's more of a want, right? We need a right wing back. We need a centre back. We need a goalkeeper. We need a creative midfielder. Those are needs. Those are needs. Juma's more of a want. So if the window was to shut, I can't rate it anything higher than a 5 out of 10 if it was just those two, just based on the reasoning I've just given now. What would I like to see? I don't expect the club to go out and sign five players in this window, but I would like to see, in addition to Danjuma, obviously Pedro Porro, and I would like to see a centre back. I would like to see a good centre back come into the club in January, and let's see if that can tie us over until the summer. And then I guess in the summer they'll probably look to get a new goalkeeper. But what I want is for Spurs to sign a centre back and another goalkeeper in January. I would love that.
Yeah, I think it's clear for me anyway, from looking in, what Tottenham need. January is difficult. Now, I hate it when people say January is difficult, because it shouldn't be too difficult to not do anything. But I understand why people say it, because you're not going to go and get 8, 9 players. And it brings me on to this, because I see Robbie on DR Sports doing this keep, sell, or bench thing. And I thought it's a
Mm,
weird thing to do in the January window, because you can't, say I want to keep Lloris. Oh, sorry, I want to sell Lloris and Fraser Forster in January and get in two
yeah.
goalkeepers in January. But we are going to kind of do it. But I want you to look at the kind of future of Spurs, and it's hard to do that at the moment, because you know what's
Mhm.
happening with Conte. You don't know what players are staying. You don't know if the ownership's going to be taken over, or if there's this majority
Yeah.
shareholder thing. But we're going to go
Mhm.
with it anyway, because from a Spurs point of view, I know how passionate you are, and I know what you are about when it comes to this squad. So I want to get your thoughts on what you're currently looking like and where you see the future of Spurs in terms of the playing staff, because there's a lot of players still at Tottenham, and I know that you rate some of them, and I do. It's not all doom and gloom, right? So we'll go through it in order. Um, let's start with the goalkeeping situation. Obviously, Lloris and Fraser Forster are there. I don't want to do this keep sell thing. I want you to tell me what you'd like to see happen with both of those goalkeepers. Are you going to sell them both, replace them both? Are you going to keep one? Are you going to keep both and get a new one in so you've got three? What would you do? What would you like to see happen?
Um, get rid of Fraser Forster because he was only temporary anyway, and he's old as F. He's older than Lloris. He's cooked, and try and usher Lloris to take like a coaching role, or buy a new goalkeeper in the summer that can significantly reduce Lloris's minutes. Right, Lloris becomes undisputed second choice, and is only in the team to play when he's called upon to rest the first choice goalkeeper. That is what I would like to see happen.
Okay. What sort of goalkeeper are you looking at getting in? Would you like to see?
What sort of goalkeeper?
Yeah,
I
as in
saw that we
terms of a
were.
name. Yeah.
Yeah, I want like a blend, man. I want someone who's way more comfortable with the ball than Lloris is, because Lloris makes people nervous sometimes on the ball, and I want someone who's a bit more commanding, right? You're never going to get a goalkeeper who makes no mistakes. Goalkeepers make mistakes. The position they play, the responsibilities that are being put on upon a goalkeeper's shoulders in the modern game, they're going to make mistakes, right? But I want a goalkeeper who's a bit more composed than Hugo. I think Hugo had some really good characteristics. If we can get a goalkeeper that has even 70% of Lloris's shot stopping and reflexes, but gives us an uplift on Lloris's kicking, right? Comfortability on the ball and his commanding of his area, like during corners and stuff, then that would be good. Like, I'm not looking for, I don't even think Spurs need this like worldy goalkeeper. We just need a good goalkeeper. And I feel like there are some goalkeepers out there that we can get.
Play, man. David Raya being mentioned in the chat. I think that would be a good signing. Actually, quite rate him.
Yeah, I like
So
him. I like him. He looks good. He looks good.
yeah, he does. He does. Okay, let's move to your right back, the position you absolutely hate. You got three right backs. You got Doherty. You've got Emerson Royale, and you've got Jed Spence. Talk to me about these three. What would you do, man?
Sell the first two every day of the week. Every day of the week, even on Sundays. Get rid of Emerson. He's not good enough. Don't hate the guy, but I hate watching him in a Spurs shirt. Literally hate watching him in the Spurs shirt. And if I have to see any more of him, I may grow to resent him. And I don't think that's fair because he's clearly not at the level, but is being played in a position that one, he doesn't suit, and two, even if he was playing a right back role, even though he's a decent defender on his day, he's just a very, very poor footballer at this level. So get rid of him. Matt Doherty, get rid of him as well. I liked him at Wolves. I thought he'd do well at Spurs, but he's just so poor, so unathletic. He's got decent qualities in the final third, which I'm sure other teams would like, but we just need right backs who are brave with the ball at their feet in the final third and have the athleticism to actually do what we need from one end to another, man. And Doherty is so unathletic, it's a joke. Like, he's so unathletic. If the ball's not being fed to him in and around the final third, he can't dribble in there. He can't do it. So get rid of both. Jet Spence, I would keep, obviously. He's due to be loaned out, I think. I'm reading that Brentford are interested, Leicester are interested. Apparently, he's got interest abroad. The club have shut down any talk of him leaving permanently or leaving with a buy option included, which is good. He needs game time. He needs minutes to actually get used to the Premier League and for us to actually see what he can do, right? Because he's not been given the opportunity. He's not been given the opportunity under Conte, and we know that he's here for the long term.
Fair play, man. I agree with you on the Jed Spence thing. I think there's a player there, and I'm amazed we haven't seen more of him, considering the two players that are ahead of him. What I'm going to say, though, is that left back, I'm surprised because neither of them are left backs. They're left wing backs. And I know that we play a wing back, so that's fine. But I wondered if there's a left back that you may need to be looking at. Now, Perisic isn't getting any younger, and Sessegnon, I just don't rate him, bruv. So what would you do in that position, man?
So get rid of Cess. I think he's shit. I don't care that he's got 1 year left, and I think he's going to have 1 year left on his deal this summer. I would sell him, cash in now, sell him. But I can see this club being stupid because he's homegrown. They're going to give him a new contract. Me, I would get rid of him. He stinks. He's absolutely poor. Perisic, he's old. You're right, but he's got quality on the ball, right? And he signed a 2 year deal, so I would keep Perisic around and have him in rotation. And what I would do next season, I would promote Destiny. I'm not sure if you recall, but we signed Destiny Udoji in the summer for around like close to 20 million from Udinese. Yeah. So, and he looks good. He looks promising, right? He looks strong. He's got technical quality, and he looks like, similar to Jed Spence, he looks like he could be a good fit in the Prem. So I would prioritize him next season and get him playing a lot of games and have him rotating with Perisic.
Fair play, man. Fair play. And I don't think that would be a bad thing if you was to already put like him, Destiny, and who did we say? Jed Spence in there. Already you've got two young, vibrant, attacking players. So maybe that's the way forward, man. But let's concentrate on your centre halves. Because for me, some of them are a joke, brother. I can't even lie. I can't even lie, man. So let's just go through them. So obviously you've got Christian Romero, who I think we both agree is a good centre half. Other than that, you've got Eric Dyer, Davinson Sanchez, Longley, Tanganga, Ben Davies, and then I believe on loan you've got Rodon as well. Um, what would you do, man? Because there's a lot of
So
surgeries.
this. So we're talking this upcoming summer and beyond, right? So just
Yeah, yeah, future, yeah.
future. I would get rid of all of them, bar Romero.
Wow, okay.
I would get rid of genuinely. I would get rid of all of them, bar Romero. Clean house. Obviously, it's not going to be done in one summer, but we need to phase all of them out over the next 2 years, in my opinion. Get rid of all of them. I would put in a buyback clause for Tanganga, a nice buyback clause or sell-on clause to Tanganga, because he is homegrown and you never know what he could become with regular game time. But right now, he's well below the standard to be playing for Spurs. Sanchez, the less said on him, the better. You already know what it is with him. Dyer and Davies, they could be good squad players, like decent squad players, sorry, but in all honesty, they've been at the club too long and it's just get rid, man. Just get rid. Get us fresh faces that can actually get the team playing a different way, right? Thank you for your service, but please, off you pop, man. Off you pop. And Joe Rodon, I don't even need to speak on him, man. I don't even need to speak on him. Just should have never been signed in the first place. Wasted our time and wasted his time. Sell him.
Listen, Seb's agreeing with you in the chat. Says apart from Romero, the rest are deadwood. I think Romero needs a centre half next to him who can actually give him a little bit of karma. I do think he's a good
Definitely.
centre half. I think he's rash at times, but sometimes that doesn't make you a bad defender because Gabriel can be like that. Martin Keown was like that throughout most of his career, and he was quality. So I
Yeah.
think you've got a good centre half there, man. You just need someone next to him. Let's move into midfield because for me, there's a few okay players and some players that I think have done a very good job at Tottenham. One of those is Ben Kerr. I think he's been a fantastic player. I think Højbjerg has improved for you. I didn't really rate him when he went to Southampton from Bayern Munich, but I knew there was obviously a player there. I think he's been good. I think he's dipped in his form, if it's fair to say, in the last few games, but I think he started the season pretty good. Other than that,
Yeah.
you've got Bissouma, you've got Skip. Talk to me about your midfield, man. I feel like it's lacking a little bit, perhaps.
Uh, Obviously, keep Benton Core. He's a good player and he's only going to get better. Keep Basuma. He's a good player that needs to find his way again and needs to be given a freer role and more minutes consistently. I would keep Pape Mate Sarr. He looks like he's got a bright future in him. I would keep Oliver Skip because I do think, even though he's not like an outright good player, I don't think he's bad, and I think he can do a job for Spurs in rotation. Højbjerg is the tricky one, right? Because you know me, I like Højbjerg, and
Yeah.
if we're talking this summer, I would keep Højbjerg. But
Hmm.
if we're talking in 2 years' time and 3 years' time, I would happily sell him. Genuinely, like I wouldn't push him out the door per se, but I'd be calm with him leaving because I feel like it gives us an opportunity to upgrade the midfield, and we have younger players coming through or younger players to come through who can do the squaddy job, right? Pape Matasar looks like he can be a good player for Spurs. Oliver Skip can play in rotation if given sufficient minutes. And I think Basuma's better than Højbjerg. I think he's a better midfielder than Højbjerg. He hasn't played like
Yeah.
it this season, but I think he's better than Højbjerg. So, yeah, I would probably say Højbjerg is the one that's probably disposable out of the lot of them. But that being said, I don't think we should sell any of them in the summer. I would rather add to them than sell. I'd rather add.
Yeah, I actually agree with you there. I don't think, apart from the Harry Winks and then Don Belle's and Lo
Oh
Celsos
yeah,
as
yeah,
well,
yeah.
that
So
obviously
if
they're
we
all on loan and
they,
stuff.
they need to go. They need to go. So Lo Celso and Dombele Winks, they need to be sold permanently.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I agree with the rest of it. I think you got to keep them. You can't get rid of everybody. You know what I mean? You've got to have some squad because it's fair enough getting your perfect 11, but you need a perfect 20 to 25 if you actually want to go and compete. So there needs to
Yeah.
be backups there. So I understand why you want Dyer perhaps as a backup, Højbjerg as a backup. I'd get that. I totally get that. Let's move in. Let's move a bit forward, man. There's some players that we think are great, me and you at Tottenham. Let's be honest. I don't like the fact you've got Son, Kulusevski, and Kane. I don't really like the fact you've got Richarlison because I do think, although I believe he's flopped, he can bang in the Premier League and he's proven to. But you have got some players I think that probably do need to be moved on now. Lucas Moura being one of them. So talk to me about your front men, um, Tobes.
Yeah, Mora's contract expires at the end of the season, and he's been injured all season, and he will be released on a free transfer. Truth be told, he should have been sold last summer. Don't know why he wasn't. Again, thank you for that hat trick in Amsterdam, but he's just been way too poor for the majority of his Spurs career, so he can go. Obviously, keep Kulusevski. He's the future of our club. We need to make that deal permanent, which we will probably do this summer. Richarlison, good player, not had a good season in terms of what we expect, and will be deemed a flop, which is fair on paper. But I think if you wanted to add nuance, I wouldn't call him a flop, because I do think he's been injured a lot, which hasn't helped, and I don't think he's been played in the best possible roles to get him in positions to score. And it doesn't help when the manager refuses to start him when he's fit, right? So I'm keeping Richarlison and Kulusevski. Danjuma, who's just signed, I don't know. Let's see how he performs. But good player, but I didn't really want him to begin with, because I didn't think we need him. But let's see how he gets on. Kane and Son. Interesting one, right? Sorry, Brian Hill. Before I get to Kane, so Brian Hill, I actually wouldn't sell him. I think he's got talent there, man. I just want to see a plan for Brian Hill. I would get him like a season loan to like a Premier League club, preferably, and get him on a weights program. Put some muscle on him. So, because I feel like if he puts on some size, he could help us on that right hand side and cover for Kulusevski, and we'd have some good competition there, because we paid big money for Brian Hill, man.
I haven't seen enough of him, I can't lie, but I saw him against Palace and I was quite impressed. I actually thought he played really well.
He's got technical quality, but he's just so flimsy. So he's too flimsy to impose himself consistently well on games, because he just gets flung about. But I would keep him, and I would just either put him on a serious weight development plan in the summer, or loan him to a Premier League club and put him on a weight development plan if you know you're not going to play him. And then now we get to the big two. I would sell Son. I'll be real with you. I would sell Son.
Wow.
I would sell Son. I would. And it's not even like a lack of loyalty. I love Son. You know how much I love Son, but I would sell him for the simple fact that he's the wrong side of 30, 31, and we know that players can play well into their 30s, right? But Spurs have been in this position before, where we have a player who's showing signs of slowing down, and we just feel like we can just milk them and continue milking them and continue milking them and continue milking that cow, right? We tried it with Alderweireld, and look what happened to him, right? We did it with I'm trying to think of another player. Danny Rose, maybe Jan Vertonghen. I just feel like with Son, he could very well rediscover his form, but I think with his age and the way he's playing right now, even if he bounces back next year, it would make sense for the club to finally use this as a reason to build what the next Spurs attack is going to look like. And if that means selling Son this summer, then so be it. If that means that Harry Kane leaves this summer, then so be it. Because they're going to leave anyway. They have been milked dry. Like Son and Kane have been run into the ground for the last 5 years, and they've carried our attack. But we're going to need to evolve as a club. And in order for us to evolve as a club, we have to make some tough decisions, unfortunately. And I think Son, as painful as it sounds, and as painful as it will be, I don't think it's mad to consider selling him in the summer.
Wow, I'm shocked, man. I'm surprised at that, because I feel like
I love him, but it's just one of them ones where it's like I think with him, he's going to turn 31 and his value is going to plummet, right? Is he going to stay at this club for the rest of his career? And do we take that risk knowing that he's going to get progressively worse, or do we cash in when there's some value to be had on a player and we refresh the team with someone who maybe isn't as good as normal Son right now, but has the potential to be much better than Son, and can give us more than what Son is giving us right now?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because he has literally, I mean, to say he's spiraled downwards is perhaps an understatement. I mean, I saw him against Fulham, Tobes. He was so bad. And it's crazy. And, you know, a few people in the chat were saying earlier, is Conte to blame for that and stuff like that. But Son's a quality player, man, like top quality
Yeah.
player.
Yeah. Like, if you asked me a year ago, I wouldn't have considered it. But now, I guess in a way, I feel like him dipping in form like this has awoken my senses in terms of like the mistakes that we've made in the past of not knowing when to let go of a player, and it's come back to hurt us. It really has. So people call it crazy, but if I had it my way, I would look to sell him. And with Harry Kane, it's up to him really. Like I would keep Harry Kane. I would keep him. I feel like he's way more multifaceted than Son, and can play a variety of roles for Spurs. He doesn't have to lead the line. He could play behind. He could play with a striker ahead of him. He could play directly behind the striker as number 10. I think Kane has got more strings to his bow than Son, and is our only bona fide world-class player, in my opinion. But I think with Harry Kane, the decision won't be down to me. I think he's probably going to end up leaving the club this summer for a reasonably big dough. Will most likely go to Man United. And I think the club are going to have to replace him with like one or two players, probably two players. Put Richarlison up top and sign another option to play and compete alongside Richarlison, and then probably sign someone on the right or on the left. I don't know, right? But when Harry Kane leaves, you need, in my opinion, two players.
Wow. I mean, if you do sell Kane and Son and Conte does go, then you might as well accept that this is going to take a long time for you to get back to where you have been in the last couple, because I appreciate you would get some money for that for both players, but at the same time, you are pretty much starting from scratch again. You say you need to get rid of a lot of them players there. I think personally, I've said this to you before, Pochettino, I can see that coming back in and starting that all over again. Maybe Levy has to say, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have got rid of you, do some apologizing. I know we spoke previously. You don't really want that to happen, but I really can see Pochettino coming back to Spurs, man. I really can. And I think that you could do a lot worse than Poch back again, if I'm honest.
Yeah, no, I can see it happening. And I do think we can do worse. We can definitely do worse than Poch. I think Poch is a quality manager, man. And I've got a lot of time for Poch, but for me, as I said on the previous stream, fresh start means fresh start, right? I see this. Listen, people are saying Spurs are going to be in the abyss. Spurs are going to be mudded. Yeah, we could very well be mudded, but at the very least, it gives us the opportunity to now reinvent this team, because we've played one way for years, right? We've played one way for a couple of years now. We've been over-reliant on Kane and Son, and they're not going to be at Spurs forever. So even if they don't leave this summer, who's to say that they'll be the same next summer? Who's to say that they may not leave the summer after, right? Granted, I do think Harry Kane can play play at his level longer than Son can, but who's to say that both guys don't just fall off a cliff? Anything can happen in football, right? Yeah. And where these guys have been a part of the club for years, it's made the club lazy. It's made the club lazy, thinking that, oh, we don't have to do anything. We got Son and Kane. Well, now you're seeing that you ain't really got Son. And you're seeing that Harry Kane could leave next summer. So it's time to refresh this team and build what the new Spurs will look like. Because when it was time to surround these guys with players on their level or higher, to actually build a competitive side. They didn't do it, and now we're getting to a point where these players are one's approaching 30, one's approaching 31. Time to refresh the team. In an ideal world, I would love for Son to spark back up his form. Spurs sign another attacker that can kick these guys up the backside. And signed another 2 attackers. Sorry, one to play across the free, one to play in the middle. I don't know, but that would be my ideal scenario. But that's not real life. Real life is Son is not playing well. In fact, that's not even the half of it. Son is playing horribly. And Spurs need to refresh the team anyway. We needed to refresh the team even with Son and Kane. So, yeah it's time.
Listen, I love the honesty, bruv. I love the honesty, man. And before we wrap up, because we are going to now, I've got to ask you, transfer window obviously open. What realistically would, in terms of names, would be like, wow, do you know what? That is an absolute banging window. And be realistic with it. You ain't going to be getting no Haalands and Mbappes. Do you know what I'm saying? So,
what would I think would be like a banging?
Yeah, a good window. Like really, oh wow, they backed Conte here. Actually, Spurs might be all right this season. What sort of names?
I think Conte is gone. For the record, I think Conte is gone. He's going. If he was going to stay, he would have signed a new deal by now. So he's gone. But I think a really good window would be to wrap up Pedro Porro, to sign a good centre back, minimum good. Max would be a quality centre back, and then a cherry on the icing on the cake would be like a creative midfielder. I feel if we did all of that plus Danjuma, then that's a fantastic window. If we did the centre back and the right wing back plus Danjuma, that's a really good window.
Yeah, mate, that is absolutely a good window, man. So let's see what happens. Tobes, always a pleasure talking to you, my guy. Thank you so much. Make sure you go follow Tobes on @TapInTobes. Up nearly at 12K, I see, bruv. So you're absolutely plugging the content. Good, lads. Good to see you doing good things, man. And as always, we'll see you next time on this channel. Make sure you smash a like and a subscribe. You got us up to 7K the other night, people. Thank you so much for that. To hit that so early is absolutely massive. So thank you so much, people. Yeah, man. Thank you so much for that, guys. Really do mean that. Means a lot. Make sure you do the same on this video and over at Tobes content. We're going to go and watch Manchester United hopefully lose against Forest, although I can't see it. And we will see you next time. Oh, is it really? You're joking?
Yeah. I'm literally got Rashford's just scored.
So. Surprise. Take it easy, people. We're out of here. See you next time.
Peace.